one of our advisors had the same realization, and he had a realization that, asset managers have resources and subject matter experts and speakers and what have you. And this is a new world, and they might be able to support me in a different way. So he partnered with an asset manager to get one of the marathon runners that they have, in their speaking staff or lineup, to join a client call with him. And he's a runner, and his business is all about, connecting with other runners and other clients and prospects that run. And lo and behold, he had a great reception and great business building activity as a result of that, and sort of kept that going. So this whole thing about virtual delivering better content and better ways to connect, I think is a cool thing that we can pull through for.
Most of the conversations that I have with advisors, especially advisors running big teams, it's really less about the strength and weaknesses of various products. These individuals, these teams are big businesses in and of themselves and managing significant amount of capital. And the growth in the industry is really centered on these big teams. And so building a scalable practice and building a repeatable and credible investment process is actually really challenging when you're managing across, our average FA manages assets for 160 different families. So try to do tailored portfolio construction for people who have 160 different entities, all that have different needs and different things happening every day in their lives. Very, very challenging. So, where asset managers can help our advisors is help, instead of going in to sell a product that fits into a portfolio, it's help our advisors build scalability and understand how to manage a business more effectively. That's where our biggest teams are struggling.
For us, the big focus has been on the semi-transparent active, or the STA. Frankly, for us, we think that's for active asset managers, probably over time, the biggest part of the ETF ecosystem. When you think about the potential for assets transitioning from mutual funds and other vehicles to actively managed ETFs, it clearly provides some real benefits to investors.
It's hard to produce a product that would basically satisfy everyone. So I think the next generation of ESG is really very specific impact type of vehicle. It could be in the private space, it could be in the public space, but very well defined, what some people care more about gender equality, some people care more about the environment. So more kind of custom tailored kind of thematic approach is probably the next step.
We are, extremely sensitive to the need to ensure that we are really educating investors about, not only the underlying mechanics of those structures and how they actually work, but really what the, value add is of those particular structures relative to sort of what's currently in the marketplace.
As these product structures get developed, ensuring that the development is client-led, and that when the product is actually ready to come to market, if there's a clearer path to the uptake in the particular channel where that product is intended to be used. These are hard product structures to make simple, but I think it's critical for the long-term success. One party's definition of simplicity in terms of a simple delivery of a solution like that versus what an investor or an institutional investor like a plan sponsor, what simplicity might mean to them is likely going to be different.
You can have too much choice. That is a thing. So if I have a menu of 400 models and I don't have a good way to navigate it, that can be a challenge. So you definitely want to be mindful of that. But when you look into the enabling of models-based practices, or even just trying to tackle the big problem of how asset managers connect in a much better way, a much more efficient way with financial advisors, a lot of this data becomes incredibly important. Also understanding decisions, right? How investment decisions are actually made, and then being able to segment your distribution force accordingly.
The myth out there is that somehow, and this might be propagated by some of our older advisors as well, is that their clients are old, therefore they don't use technology. They don't need to engage with platforms in certain ways digitally. All the evidence in the client research that we do shows that that's not the case, that the advisor somehow has built their practice a certain way, and that's dictating how the firm is interacting with the clients. It's not the client's desire, and certainly not the client's life outside of their interactions with the advisor, because they interact digitally with everything else that they do in the world. And we see that in, our multi-generational teams, where not only will, younger advisors partner with older advisors and push technology adoption to the existing client base that they have, the older client base, and the older client base is wildly accepting of that and use that digital engagement often to grow the overall relationship. So that angle works. And then also what's interesting is some of the younger clients from the younger FAs, when they join older teams, those younger clients come to those teams and say, my parents' financial advisor is not delivering correctly. Can you talk to my parents about what that you're able to do through engaging with clients fully through these digital channels? And we're having a lot of success winning clients that way too. So I think, sometimes we in the financial services industry think older means not technologically adept. That's really not my experience.